Welcome to this top automation testing interview questions tutorial for beginners. When I say beginners, I mean freshers who are just starting out in their career path or software testing professionals who want to brush up on their basics while prepping for a technical interview. We have picked these questions after a thorough analysis and engaging with tech hiring managers on what type of questions they ask during technical rounds. So let's get started with some frequently asked automation testing interview questions. For the ease of understanding, we will divide the automation testing interview questions in two levels of expertise. This is part 1, where we will cover the questions for beginners or freshers with 0 to 2 years of experience. First question, what is automation testing? Automation testing is a process of automating the execution of test cases using special software testing tools and scripts. Automation testing reduces the need of manual intervention by executing test cases, comparing the expected results with actual results, logging the test results, pass or fail, saving the test evidences using screenshots, logging defects in defect tracking tool, and generating test data. Question 2. When to use automation testing? The purpose of automation testing is to reduce the manual effort in software testing. It can be implemented in the following scenarios. Number 1. Repeated tests. Number 2. Time-consuming tests. And number 3. Complex tests. Let's dig a little deeper in each of these separately. For repeated tests, regression testing, sanity testing, and smoke testing are best candidates for automation testing because of their repetitive nature. For time-consuming tests, data-driven testing runs the same set of test cases with different and huge sets of test data. If done manually, it will require much human effort and time, which causes the utter boredom to the tester. Also, due to the large amount of data, manual execution is prone to errors. And for complex tests contains difficult and lengthy calculations which are time-consuming and difficult for a human. Due to intense calculation in test cases, human errors may occur. Hence, it is better to have computer run such complex test cases and use test automation. Question 3. When not to use automation testing? Interestingly, there are cases where we should not use automation testing because the return of investment of test automation will be low. For instance, we cannot invest months of automation scripting to run cases which will only be run once or twice in the life cycle. Some scenarios can be the test cases which rarely be run are bad candidates for automation testing. If the requirements are not stable, then we should not keep on modifying our automation scripts with the changing requirements. Therefore, stable application and requirements are prerequisites for starting automation testing. Ad hoc testing and exploratory testing require human eye to detail and human interaction. Therefore, we do not consider such testing types for automation testing. Question number 4. Can you automate 100% test cases? It is a very tricky question among the automation testing interview questions. To begin with, the answer to the question that can you automate 100% test cases is yes. Interestingly, we can automate 100% of the test cases, but we usually should not. We should try not to put time and effort in the test cases, which rarely be run once or twice. In addition, graphical user interface based test cases require much effort in scripting, so it is better to execute such cases manually. To summarize, the investment we have to put in automation of test cases should be less than the return. As a result, the whole process of test automation will be successful and fruitful. Question number 5. What is a test automation framework? Test automation framework is a collection of tools, scripts, data, and structure which aids the process of automation testing. An automation framework defines below: code and coding standards, test data storage, object repository such as Quick Testing Professional by HP or Elements in Selenium Framework, definition of environment and properties file, report generation, storage, emailing, And lastly, logs generation and storage. Question 6. What are the types of test automation frameworks? We have a total of 5 test automation frameworks. First, linear test automation framework. Second, data-driven test automation framework. Third, keyword-driven test automation framework. Fourth, modular test automation framework. And fifth, hybrid test automation framework. Let's dig a little deeper in each of these individually. Linear test automation framework is also called record and playback framework. When the user performs any action on the application, the framework generates the test steps accordingly. Therefore, the steps are in a linear form in linear test automation framework. Since test data gets hard-coded in the code itself, there are no separate functions for each user task. As a result, linear test automation framework fails to achieve scalability for future requirements. Data-driven test automation framework. Testing code and test data are separate from each other in data-driven test automation framework. Basically, a data-driven test automation framework is useful for when same functionality needs to be run on a variety of huge test data. External files like Excel sheet, CSV file, or text files store the test data and we keep them separate from the scripting logic. In case there is any modification in the test data, we only change the separate data file. Subsequently, there is no impact on the coding logic and scripts, which in turn saves testing time. Therefore, testers can execute automated test scripts using the data-driven test automation framework without any changes in the script. Keyword-driven test automation framework. Similar to data-driven test automation, we keep coding scripts and test data separate from each other in the keyword-driven test automation framework. A new terminology in keyword-driven testing is keywords or actions, and they are the actions that the user will perform on the application. Furthermore, a separate keyword file stores objects and associated action words in a tabular format. Finally, tested codes and test scripts based on the action words. For example, if user performs action click button, the tester codes script to cover the functionality related to click button. Therefore, the keyword file, data file, and coding scripts are all separate from each other. Modular test automation framework. Let us discuss the steps to create modular test automation framework. Firstly, we divide the whole application into separate modules or functions. After that, we write test scripts for each module separately and test them independently. Next, we combine these modules into single required test case. Since the test script for each module is created separately, the modules have abstraction property. Therefore, in a modular test automation framework, changes in the test script of one module will not affect other modules. Hybrid test automation framework. As the name suggests, hybrid test automation framework is a hybrid of any of the above 3 test automation frameworks: data-driven, keyword-driven, modular test automation framework. According to the requirements, the tester combines any of the available framework types to achieve a flexible and robust test automation. And lastly, question number 7. What are the different tools available for automation testing? We have a total of 5 different tools available for automation testing. The 5 tools are Selenium, Appium, Test Complete, Cucumber Framework, and IBM Rationale Functional Tester, also known as RFT. Let's break down some of these tools to better understand what are they mainly used for. The first tool for automation testing is Selenium. Selenium is mainly used to test web applications and is an open source test automation framework. Selenium automation testing supports languages like Java, C#, Perl, Ruby, PHP, and Python. It also supports multiple browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. And it also runs on operating systems like Linux, Windows, and Mac. The second tool would be Appium. Appium is an open source used for mobile application automation testing. It provides support to platforms like iOS, Android, Windows. Scripting in Python, PHP, Ruby, and Java, and also supports Test Complete. The third tool would be Test Complete. Test Complete is a licensed test automation tool to create automated UI tests. It provides support to desktop, mobile, and web applications. Scripting languages like Python, Java, JavaScript, VBScript, and it uses Test Complete. Users can execute automated test scripts using data-driven and keyword-driven test automation frameworks. The fourth tool we have would be Cucumber Framework. Cucumber Framework is an open source test automation framework based on BDD. BDD is Behavior-Driven Development. In a BDD framework, the requirement and test cases are defined in plain English. QAs, developers, clients, business analysts, and all other stakeholders actively participate in the requirement creation and test case creation while developing a BDD framework. In a feature file, all plain text cases are written which anyone can understand. Subsequently, plain text cases of feature file are mapped to the actual test scripts. Mostly, Cucumber Framework is integrated into Selenium Framework. However, it is also used with Watir, Capybara, and others. The last tool would be IBM Rational Functional Tester. IBM Rational Functional Tester is a licensed product by IBM. It supports functional testing, regression testing, GUI, and data-driven testing. RFT supports testing of web-based Java, .NET, SAP, Ajax, and Adobe PDF documents. We have come to the end of this Part 1 tutorial on frequently asked automation testing interview questions for beginners and freshers. If you would like to read the full article, please click on the link mentioned in the video and in the description box below. Thank you for listening to this tutorial. We hope you found this informative and helpful. Bye!